Hi there, everybody, and welcome to Season 2 of the Hoosier Racing Tire eSports Super Tour. Tonight, we're at the home of tradition, beauty, and speed, Lime Rock Park, a 1.5-mile, 7-turn bull ring that's been challenging SCCA racers since 1957. I'm Greg Ginsberg from the Performance Motorsports Network and Super Tour Radio, and I'm joined, as always, by Larry McLeod, champion autocrosser and announcer at the SCCA National Championship runoffs. So now we're on the third round of 6 this season, and while we've had some drivers that have already made return trips to the podium, all of our 100-plus racers tonight are going to encounter some challenges that are unique to Lime Rock Park, Larry.
Yeah, we do. There's going to be a lot of challenges. One of them is going to be traffic. This, as you mentioned, we called it the bull ring. This place is tight, it is short, but we've got 20-some drivers tonight registered, and it's going to be, track space is going to be at a premium for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a huge difference from what we saw last week. Of course, last week on stop 2 of the Super Tour, we were at Road Atlanta, which is a 12-turn course with some very long straightaways and even some of the twisty stuff. Lots and lots of room for drivers to run. Lots of passing opportunities, and really gives the drivers an opportunity to plan out a race. But here at the bull ring, where laps are going to be, well, for some of the touring cars like our Miatas that we're going to see later today, you're typically running a lap that's a minute in length. Right now we've got cars on track, our Formula 3 cars, and they are, I believe, finishing up their practice. Still have a little bit under 10 minutes left to go in practice, and the fastest laps here, Larry, are under 3/4 of a minute. They're 43 seconds and change. So you don't have a lot of time to react here, and if it gets crowded, if it gets busy, it's not going to give the drivers a real opportunity to plan out their race. They're basically going to have to really point and shoot, and anywhere they see an opportunity to pass, take it, because there aren't many places around this track that are considered to be key passing areas. There are really very few hard braking turns here. We're looking at one right now. It's turn 1 at the end of the Sam Posey Straight, but not a lot of opportunities for traditional passes through turns.
Yeah, passing's always really tough here, because even the main straightaway just isn't that big. You think about these cars like you talked about last week, Road Atlanta, you get that long straightaway, you have a chance to draft. You just can't do that here. So what happens is qualifying becomes so important to try and out-qualify somebody, and then you get that turn 1 opportunity to try and dive bomb somebody. So turn 1 is just going to be amazing to watch tonight. You're going to see some moves that I don't think we're going to see at any other track in any other race this season. People are going to they know this. They knew this was coming. They're going to take risks that they wouldn't normally take. They're going to do it tonight to try and get that couple of positions that are going to be so crucial here on the first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have to qualify well. And as I look through the order right now, and you'll see that up on the pylon here to the left of your screen, our drivers up at the front of the field are very tightly packed. Our top 2 drivers right now, Andrew Pilata, who won last week at Road Atlanta with a 43.231. He is only 0.003 of a second up on Evan Rackison. Rackison finished 3rd during the first stop on the Super Tour a few weeks ago at Virginia International Raceway, but only 0.003 of a second separate them. And then going back to our third fastest car on track, that is Chris DeShong in the number 41 car. DeShong finished 3rd last week. He is currently 3rd on the timing pylon right now, and he is only 1/100th of a second off of Evan Rackison. So very tightly packed right at the front of the field, and we can continue to go back through the field here. There are hundreds, sometimes separating cars, sometimes thousands separating cars here. That it really is going to come down to setup, and I think probably more than setup, Larry. It means being really inch perfect around this track.
Yeah, this is one of those. Actually, I look at a name like Pilata. I'm going to just call him out. He's right now top of the practice board here. This is where an autocrosser's experience is actually going to come through, because we talk about the importance of qualifying. A lot of times qualifying is kind of important. You want to be near the front of the field. Being a pole is a nice little, a nice little medal you can wear. But today, being a up in the front row is, if you're in the second row, you pretty much, unless something happens to those two in front, you're done. It's going to be almost impossible to win this race. But if you're Angel Pilata, a 5-time solo national champion, and you've got that autocross skill, that ability to focus in and hit every mark perfectly in that autocross mindset, you've got a bit of an advantage for somebody who maybe doesn't have that skill set. So Pilata has that ability. That's what it's going to come into. We've got this 4-lap qualifying. It's solo car, very much like that autocross environment. And someone like Pilata, and I look down the list here, someone like Kyle Herbst, another autocrosser, these guys may have that ability to put down that absolute flyer in a way that, you know, maybe they have an advantage in that qualifying format, because again, it's just so important that qualifying could ultimately decide who wins this race.
Now, talking about the format a little bit, we have all of the cars on track right now, and a little bit fewer than the 50 cars we originally anticipated. Right now, I believe we've got 27 cars that have entered the session here. And for the practice session, and this was a 70-minute practice session, all the cars are out at once. When we go to qualifying, as Larry mentioned, the drivers are going to have 4 laps to set a fast lap here. But what's going to be a little different for them is that when they are in the cars, it's going to appear to them as though they are the only cars on track. So they won't have to worry about that traffic when trying to set a fast lap. But of course, once we get to race time, all bets are off once again, and all those drivers, of course, are going to be out there on track at once. But it'll certainly make things a little bit easier that the drivers won't necessarily have to contend with traffic when trying to set a fast lap time in qualifying.
Yeah, and somebody we haven't talked about so far, we talked a little bit about Pilata, Rakusin, DeShong. Those are the 3 fast names at the top of the leaderboard. Pilata having won the race last week. Name we haven't talked about, who had sat on the pole, I believe, both of the first 2 races, and then had some unfortunate incidents in both of those races, is Paul Darling.
Currently exactly
8th in the list. He's a whopping 2/10 down here so far in practice. But again, it is just practice, but he has shown the ability to qualify well. If he can pull this off and somehow, again, start this race on the front row, as he's done twice already, could be in a better position. It is going to become very crucial. Again, we mentioned, this is the race you do need to be on that front row. Can Paul Darling do it again this week like he did at the last 2?
Yeah, and another driver, and it looks like he's just gotten in the car and he's just turned his very first lap at speed in the session, was our winner from week 1 at Virginia International Raceway. That's Max King in the number 27 car. And right now he is sitting down 23rd in the order, but again, and there's Max now coming through turns 1 and 2. And I believe that, again, he's just gotten things underway with a couple moments here in practice. And, you know, he'll be able to show his mettle during qualifying.
So one of the things that this season, the season 2 of our Hoosier eSports Super Tour, that we didn't really pay much attention to the first season, is this is for points. We'll talk a little bit as we go along again about the prizes that we're offering, but what's going to define who wins those prizes are the points. Currently, with 1 win in the books and an average finish of finishing second, is Andrew Pilata has right now got the overall points lead. He was the winner in week 2. You'll see him there on screen now in that number 93. Currently in the second spot is Caleb Patry, and he's running in the number 98 car here in this race.
Yeah, Patry finished second last week, finished off the podium at VIR in week 1, but has an average finish of 4th position.
So he's done very well to start out this race. He'll be looking to also get a strong start here to this one. Third, through consistency, again paying off, currently 3rd in points, is Chris DeShong.
Yeah, DeShong right now, he's only 1 point back from Calipatri with an average finish of, again, 4th place. He finished on the last step of the podium last week, and basically that points difference is how they finished last week, with Patry finishing in 2nd and DeShong finishing in 3rd. 4th right now in the points, and he is 3 points back from Chris DeShong, is Evan Rakusin, who we've talked about before. He is currently sitting 2nd fastest in this practice session, which is just about to finish up here, and finish 3rd, last step on the podium in our initial week of this season at Virginia International Raceway 2 weeks ago.
Yes, we'll be looking for him. Max King, who had the week 1 win, he's currently 6th in the points. Did not finish very well last week after having an incident early in the race. We've mentioned Paul Darling having won pole the first 2 weeks, but then DNF both weeks, so he hasn't even collected any points. So that's unfortunate there. Another one is Kyle Herbst. You see him currently in the practice leaderboard. He's up there in the top 5 right now. Has not been able to collect any points. So you've got some fast drivers like Max and like Paul Darling, like Kyle Herbst, that need to get some strong finishes, because you're showing now that guys like Rackers, DeShong, and Patry, consistency pays off to collect some points. That's what you need to do if you're going to stay in the standings as the season goes on.
Yeah, interesting by his absence right now is our eighth person in 8th position so far in the points this season, and that's Andrew Abbott, Formula V driver.
So where do you think
by
he
trade.
is this week?
Yeah, he's got some other racing on his mind, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is the weekend of the Sports Car Club of America's WeatherTech Chicago Region June Sprints, and it is the 65th consecutive Chicago Region June Sprints, and Andrew is there with a number of other Formula V drivers trying to turn in a good finish. Very important to be at the sprints this year. Not only is it one of the very first Super Tour events to take place after things have gotten back underway, but Road America is also home of the 2020 SCCA National Championship runoff. So almost more than any other time, this is going to be a big tune-up for those national championships.
Andrew there, of course,
in the
with
fall.
his brother as well. They're both running in the Formula Vs. They're both absent from tonight's race. Max Grau is another one that's going to be running. I believe he's running in, I want to say it's FE2. He'll be running at the June Sprints, so he won't be running in tonight's race. So there's quite a few people that we've seen so far in these Hoosier Super Tour eSports races that are going to be at those races at Elkhart Lake Road America this weekend. So good luck to them, but we're going to continue on with our Lime Rock Bull Ring tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to be racing on 4+ miles of track, and we've got 1.5 here.
1+.
Yeah, be 45 seconds a lap versus about 3.5 minutes a lap. So big differences with what they're experiencing this weekend versus what our drivers are experiencing here. And we've got on screen right now Jackson McLeod going out and starting his qualifying laps here. Jackson was, I believe he was 6th fastest in practice. So we'll see if he can set a good lap time here and see how he does without the traffic.
Yeah, we did see practice times down in the low 43s. Look at that, catching little air as they come up the hill after turn 5. Exactly.
That is in what they call the uphill here at Lime Rock Park, and it will definitely loosen a car up. As a matter of fact, before the show, some of us may have been taking some bets on how many cars would go around over there, and we haven't seen all that many yet. We'll see what happens during the race. But as you saw there from that profile shot of Jackson's car, the front end of the car will definitely get some air, and in some cases the rear wheels will get air as well at the exact same time. Let's take a look here, and it looks like car handled it pretty good over there. And it's really a question of where and when you turn in for the uphill area, because if you are just a couple of inches to the right, it will send the car, it'll get the car so loose that it'll usually spin you right around into the barrier on the right hand side.
So on Tuesday night I ran the Fun with Cars session with a lot of these same drivers, but in these cars at this track, and I can tell you, coming up there is intimidating. You come up there, the car is going to get light, you're going to spin the rear tires, it's going to get loose. Like you say, you need to get the wheels straight. When you're going over that, you don't want to miss a line to that. You don't want to still be kind of cranking the wheel around. So you just know you're going to go over that thing a little bit of airborne. You just don't want to do it still turning the wheel if you can help it. So there's definitely a technique to that to get the car turned in early. And you just want to stay on the gas and just get through it. But this place is intimidating because it's fast. It's only 1.5 miles, but it's just every single corner is just fast. Like the slowest corner around here is turn 2.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
And yeah, it's really crazy. And as we were talking, and I guess we'll talk about this a little more during the race. But we mentioned that turn 1 is your traditional passing zone here where you're going to try and outbrake somebody going into a turn. But it's not uncommon to see if drivers enter turn 1 maybe a little bit hot, that they will actually start to wash out on the second portion of the turn 2, which is, and well, I was going to say is another another right-hander. The majority of the turns here at Lime Rock are right-handers. But great opportunity if you can pressure somebody down in the turn one, even if you don't make the pass there. You can, and here we're watching as I think Max King is rolling through turn. Oh, nope, that was Eric Brown. And kind of like that. You just overcook it going into turn one, and you scoot underneath somebody going into turn two. And we'll go over as we get ready to race. We'll run down the track layout here for you so you can catch the whole thing. All right, so let's take a look here as we've got just about a little bit under 5 minutes left to go in the qualifying session here. Sitting at the top of the order right now is Evan Rackison with a 43.233. Only 86 thousandths of a second back from Rackison is Andrew Pilata, who again took the win last week and is our current points leader in the series with the number 93 car. Caleb Patry in the number 98 car is our third fastest driver, and he is only 53 thousandths of a second off of Pilata, so real close there. Max King, your fourth fastest driver on track currently, and I think King may have turned in all of his laps already. And matter of fact, I believe our top four drivers have all completed their qualifying laps. Again, the drivers had 4 laps in order to set a fast time. And it looks like now Kyle Herbst has completed his last lap as well. Herbst is your 5th fastest driver with a 43.447. And there is a car that, as we were talking, and it looks like Mr. Vogel's had some issues, and kind of waving to us with the right
damage
hand wheels
model's not always perfect. Those left tires are sort of throwing a temper tantrum.
It's kind of banging at the ground there. But that's what happens when you get the uphill just slightly wrong. The car gets loose and you spin around and you go right into the wall there. And as we can see, we'll do a lot of damage to these cars. We're following Justin Huffman right now. Huffman currently is 18th in the order with a fast lap currently of a 44.241. And we'll see here as he comes through the uphill.
Just kind of scanning through to see if any of our other drivers have yet to take any of their additional laps. And Justin might be one of the last ones. I'm kind of going down the list. Looks like everybody else has their 4 in the books.
Yeah, it looks like I was going to say maybe Grant Vogel possibly, but no, it looks like Vogel is done. All right, so we'll follow Huffman around here, and this is the one thing when you have just a couple of laps to turn.
Vogel's moving. Vogel's out on the track.
Oh, yep, and he is.
And as Justin is into the guardrails.
Yeah, we've got both of the Vogels. We've got John and Grant. John currently sitting 13th with a fast lap of 43.914, and Grant in the 26 car, we are still waiting for him to set a lap time. So he is currently sitting 27th at the tail end of the field. Yeah, Larry, we've got a little time here left in qualifying and not many drivers left on track. Why don't we take a look at the track map and let our viewers see exactly what these drivers are dealing with here.
What you look at this thing and what you see are a whole lot of right turns. In fact, the only left turn in this entire place is actually left turn 3. So as you come down the front long straightaway there, you go through turn 1, which actually just continues on into turn 2. They call that whole sequence there Big Bend. You come out of 2 and you set up for the left-hander known as the left-hander. It's turn 3. It is the only one there is. That sets you up for, hey, guess what they call it? Great name here. The right-hander, turn 4. Down a straightaway. It still needs a name. It's almost 60-year-old track here. It's called the No Name Straight. It needs a name. That takes you to turn 5, called the uphill, onto the back straight. And when you get out of the back straight, you go to turn 6, which is going to be the most treacherous turn that we've got. If you have a place to watch from, if that's the only turn you can watch at Lime Rock, that's the one, because that's where the excitement of all of the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and sometimes the upside downs, that's where it's going to happen. It's going to be turn 6. You come out of 6, you go under the bridge, and you plummet down the hill. Fast right-hand bender, probably completely flat out in these Formula 3s. Turn 7, down that front straightaway again.
Yeah, and I liken turn 7 very much to where we were just a week ago at Road Atlanta to turn 12, where you've got a huge drop running down the hill. Road Atlanta, you've got a little bit more time to think about what's going to happen to you if you get it wrong than you do here at Lime Rock Park. But I'll tell you, there's a huge tendency, and I don't know if we'll see it all that much with these Formula cars just because of the amount of aero downforce they have. But we'll definitely be watching with the MX-5s in our next race. If you turn in for that corner even just a little bit early, you're going to run off to the grass on the outside there, and you have a lot of room to start, but the wall starts to get very close. It's very funny, Larry, when this track was opened in 1957, one of the things about it, and I might also add that Lime Rock Park is the third oldest consecutively open track in America. The only tracks that have been around longer and have stayed open are Road America, which we talked about just a little while ago, as well as Willow Springs Raceway out in California.
Wow.
And when Lime Rock Park was open, one of the big things about Lime Rock was that it was going to be much safer than a lot of the other courses at the time. But you can see here how close those walls are to the sides of the track. And when they repaved it and did a lot of work on it in 2008, they tried to move the walls out just a little bit without really changing the character of the track all that much. So, we'll have to see if these drivers can hold on, because there is not a lot of margin for error.
This place is treacherous. All right, let's do a very quick rundown of the first couple rows of the grid here as they get rolling. On the pole, he was quick in practice. He is the quickest in qualifying. It's going to be Evan Rackison on your pole position here for round 3 in the Formula 3s. On the outside of the front row, your week 2 winner, Andrew Pilata. On the second row, on the inside, it's going to be Caleb Patry. And on the outside, your week 1 winner, Max King, got late into the practice session, but he does well enough to be on the second row. Row 3, a couple of guys that have struggled so far to get any points this season, the first 2 rounds. Both these guys need a strong finish. On the inside, it's going to be Kyle Herbst. On the outside, it's going to be Paul Darling, who had the pole position the first 2 weeks. He's going to start 6th here outside of row 3 here in week 3. And on the 4th row, it's going to be Chris DeShong on the inside and Jackson McLeod on the outside. And we'll give you one more row here on the inside of row 5. Nick Hems on the inside. It's going to be Kareem Hussein on the outside.
Yeah, so, and I think we've got a little bit more time than we expected here on the pace lap, because they're not starting the pace lap from like turn 10. We've got Jeff Miner in the 713 car. He is starting 11th. Then we've got Jake King in the number 39 car. He will be starting 12th. Then we've got John Vogel and Eric Brown starting 13th and 14th. Michael Hinkle and Justin Sang starting 15th and 16th. Then we've got Stephen Ford and Justin Huffman. Justin, we've seen quite a bit here on the eSports Super Tour. Then we've got Robert Dietz and Alex Jensen. Then we've got Jan Tu and Grant Vogel. So Vogel actually ended up moving up a little bit in the order there, starts 22nd. Then we've got Jay Bonvalor, great motorsports photographer, and Andrew Wozencroft, starting 23rd and 24th. Mick Blue and Chris Hammond will be starting 25th and 26th. And then we've got Donald Manning, who will be starting in 27th.
All right, so here they come on down into turn 7 and onto this front straight, and we get to see the excitement of turn 1. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, here we go. Here is the pace car leads them down out of West Bend, down the downhill, which, again, it doesn't look like much of a drop, but it comes at you so terribly fast. The pace car now going to try and get into the pit lane, and it's a pretty quick jump to get into the pit lane, and we are waiting for the green flag. And there it is. We've got the start. And starting off in the lead here, going down into turn 1, we've got Evan Rackison with Pilata, and just to the inside, Caleb Patry as they try to fight for position. Lots of cars too wide here, and still too wide. Side by side, we've got Pilata and Patry with Max King trying to get around. Oh, and we've got the two cars.
Patry and Pilata.
Yeah, got together.
They did. It looked like Patry was on the outside and Pilata on the inside, and they just touched through turn 3.
So that now moves Max King up to the second. Kyle Herbst, Paul Darling in the 155. He is now running in third. Then we've got Herbst, DeShong, and Jackson McLeod as they now make their way through the and down through the downhill. And these cars already are completing lap number 1. That's how fast it goes here at Lime Rock Park.
Wow, that was that was just crazy. I just seeing that move there, unfortunately for Pilata. Not going to be, I don't know how much damage they have if they're able to continue, but that's going to take them pretty early. This Justin Sang having issues there. That's the other problem is if you have an issue, this track is fairly narrow. There's nowhere to go if you want to stay on pavement, if you get off pace. And with this number of cars, it just backs everybody up. And because the corners are all so close together, you kind of come up on people. If someone's going slow, there's just nowhere to go around them.
We got another car that's gone around. That's the number 10 of Christopher Hammond. Oh, and following him in is the number
Stephen
2
Ford.
car. Yeah, and that's, I believe that was coming out of turn 2. That was coming out of the left-hander, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what happened over here. See if it was unassisted or if the cars just went around on their own. Yep, and that and right behind, oh wow, and Pilata, who's trying to make up ground, obviously could not check up in time. Ended up getting into the car there, and then we've got the number 2 kind of followed him right on in.
And Ford, yeah, that is it's actually because of the speeds are so slow through that corner, your arrow actually just goes away, and if you catch your car set up a little bit loose without much arrow, car just gets a little bit loose on the back end. Just kind of happens there. But out in front, Rackus has really extended a lead here. This is kind of amazing already. 1.5 seconds up on King with Darling and Herbst kind of nose to tail there for that 3rd spot. But Rackus is really showing his speed early in this race.
Yeah, and he had a good advantage there. He had already opened up about 5 car lengths on Pilata and on Darling when they got, probably not Darling, but on Pilata when and Patry when they had come through turns 2 and 3. And then with those 2 drivers getting together, really put Max King at a disadvantage. He's got a long way. You know, it's less than 1.5 seconds, but it's going to be very difficult to make up that ground as they make their way around these very short laps.
Yeah, because again, Pilata just can't buy a break because that's the other problem is here you get caught in traffic and he's now 23rd, but he's behind guys that are in their own battles and they're not going to move aside. They're not, there's no blue flags here. Right? They're all the same lap.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, there are really very limited places where you can make passes here. Oh, looks like that driver had some issues.
Oh boy, and it's.
Yeah, Justin Huffman. Oh my! And Don Manning gets into Justin Huffman, and Alex Jensen is collateral damage there. So we've lost 3 cars coming down the hill.
Traffic just got easier.
Yeah, yeah, coming out of West Bend. So one of the interesting vagaries. Yeah, let's take a look at the replay here. Yeah, and Jensen goes through, and I think the other driver was just trying to Don Manning was just trying to figure out a way to get through. There, he just saw a car
nowhere to go.
Just popping across the track, and I hate to say it, but driving into the wall.
Not too different from what happened to our leaders in this race last week, coming up and over the hill of Road Atlanta. Right. You come under that bridge, and you got nowhere to go. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you've got the hill crest bridge. Everything's just kind of, there's just visibility. You have a spotter and you're saying, a slow car on the right, but you're like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're broadside right across the track. So I was going to say that one of the vagaries here at the track is, and as you watch as these drivers make their way around, is yes, some of the portions of Lime Rock Park are very narrow, but there are some sections that widen out. But the challenge and the problem that you run into is because the distance from corner to corner is so short that even when the track widens out, it gives you this false sense that you have an opportunity to make a pass. And almost as quickly as you see that opportunity open up, it completely closes down. You can see how it goes from being very wide coming out of the right-hander and starting at the no-name straight, and then as we come through here, and then as you get towards the uphill at turn 5, the track is so narrow it looks like it's only wide enough for maybe 1.5 cars to make it through there. Certainly not wide enough for 2, and certainly not at the speeds these cars are carrying.
Yeah, and at these speeds in these cars, honestly, if you don't pass somebody on the front straight, even a lapped car, unless they point you by, you're not getting by them anywhere else until the front straight again. And that's only if you get the best head of steam down to the one, and then you make a real effort to stuff your nose in alongside them going into one. It's just impossible. We're going to see the same thing happening when we get to the MX-5s later on. In these cars, it's even tougher. And then you get the added issue of if you're the trailing car, you have to make, it's hard to stay with somebody through all of these fast corners because you're losing your aero if you're on someone's tail through turns 4, 5, and 6. And these cars are running so much downforce. You are lifting and maybe tapping the brakes at 4. You're maybe lifting a little at 5, at 6. And you're flat through 7, you're on someone's tail trying to set up a pass, you just lost your front arrow, and you can't even set that pass up. That's how hard it is to follow someone around here.
Yeah, like right here, and you can see right here is the second car on the train
Pilata.
here, the number 93 car, Pilata, just kind of washed out going through the West Bend. It just couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't stay right underneath that car through a corner.
This is a guy who was a second faster in qualifying, almost 2 seconds faster in qualifying. Pilata qualified at a 43.3. No offense to Mick Blue, but Mick qualified at a 45.0, 1.7 seconds slower, and Pilata's struggling to get by him because you lose that arrow when you're following somebody. That's all it is. It's just such a tough place to pass. And he's got a little bit of damage there on the front end, as our director showing us on the front wing, which makes it even harder. He doesn't even have the front grip even when he's by himself, let alone when he's following somebody.
All right, let's take a look, and maybe we'll jump up to the front of the field. Here we go, and Max King in the number 27 car. He has been reeling in Evan Rackison. The last time we were looking, the gap was about 1.4 seconds. It's now down to just about 1 second flat as they make their way down the downhill onto the front straight. And as you can see here, our leader, Evan Rackison, starting to come up on some traffic, and we'll have to see if that starts to affect him. That may start to compress our leaders down quite a bit as they now are going to start to run into some more slower cars and obviously the challenge in getting around them. Looks like Rackison was able to deal with that one. And Paul Darling goes off on the outside of turn 2. Yeah, and Darling has just been snake bitten now 3 weeks in a row. He was sitting third about 10 car lengths back from Max King, and he just washed out.
Himself. Yeah, just got a little greedy going into one. Try to carry a little more speed. You get to that point in the race, you're like, okay, we're a couple laps in. Tires are warmed up. Maybe at 11 laps, the tires are starting to go away, and you just push too deep, and unfortunately got a little bit wide and all the way out in the grass.
All right, here and now, and we can see as our leader, Evan Rackison, is coming down once again, and these laps are just flying by right now. We're on lap 12 currently of, and I'd say at this point, given the amount of time left, we've probably got probably another 12 to 14 laps in us, and both he and Max King are trying to make their way through traffic, and you can see sometimes you're lucky with the traffic, sometimes you're not, and right here, Max King comes up through the uphill.
That's the unlock. Yep.
Yeah, and just washes out behind the car and has to take to the grass, losing even more time.
Yeah, that's exactly that bad luck you talk about, and sometimes it just happens. You just lose that front wing.
Yeah, and so a lap ago, we were talking about how Max King had closed things down to 1 second. Now we're at almost 3 full seconds.
Oh, but this is the Herbst DeShong now going for third with Darling out of this race. Herbst and DeShong now are looking at that third spot on the podium, thinking this might be theirs, and they're going to go side by side.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the battle to watch for some time here. Now we know that Chris DeShong is well, let's just say he's taken to the grass quite a bit. Oh, and look at this
again. Herbst is going to be some pretty big hit there.
Oh, wow.
Still moving.
Yeah, he's still going. And we talked about Darling. We talked about Darling being snake bitten. Kyle Herbst also has just he's qualified well, but he's had tons of problems, and it looks like he's going to bring the car down to the pit lane.
There's no fast repairs here, I don't believe. So if he's pulling in, this is it. Unfortunately, he's got so much damage on that right front from this contact.
Yeah, let's take a look again as they came through the uphill, and it looked like the driver gave him room, and he just got loose on the exit of the uphill. You could see the nose start to point in. Let's take a look at it again.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's Kyle. Unfortunately, the car got loose. The yielding driver did everything he could. It wasn't him. It was on this one's on Kyle, unfortunately. So that leaves DeShong now with a couple seconds to try and chase down Max King. And it bumps Jackson McLeod now up to that 4th spot, as he looks like he's just cleared the Nick Hems, Jake King behind him.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got Jake and Hems right behind him, so a very, very close battle there in the battle for 4th. And now we've got, we're looking at the battle for 7th here. We've got John Vogel, Karim Hussein, Caleb Patry, and Patry now gets around Hussein. We can see that move as they came through turns 1 and 2. And so that moves Hussein back now to 9th. And we've got Michael Hinkle in the 46 car sitting right at the tail, but looks like Hinkle's having a little problem there trying to make his way through the right-hander.
Yeah, Patry's just trying to salvage a finish here, and he's smart too, because this is the kind of place where there's a lot of attrition. You just saw it there with Kyle Herbst. That's the kind of thing that happens here, and Patry's just thinking, let me just stay in this, pass a couple of people, pick up some spots. Maybe I can get myself a top 7, top 8. This is a points series. You've got to salvage points out of this. It's the old Alain Prost method, right? Just get the couple extra points at the end of the season, see where you stand.
Yeah, exactly. And so this would probably be a good time, and we see Patry going on, but as you mentioned, it is a point series, and the winner of the series is going to get a pretty big prize. You've seen here on the timing pylon that little graphic there for Competition 1 Motorsports. They are offering up, and they've been a great partner to the SCCA in the eSports Super Tour. They are offering up an arrive and drive of a Formula Enterprises 2 car to the Blackhawk Farms Drivers School here later this year. So if you win the series here in the Formula 3 cars, you will get a ride in a Formula car and can go for your SCCA competition license. Or if you already have that license, of course, it's going to be a great package and a great weekend of testing. Now, Competition 1 Motorsports, and they are run by Steve Stadell and Tony Grau. I've been saying for a number of weeks that Max Grau is the proprietor. Max, as he told me, is the occasional work hand and driver. Of course, Max is over at the June Sprints Racing this weekend. But Competition 1 Racing, they're out of Scales Mound, Illinois, and they are the Central U.S. parts dealer for Formula Enterprises, and they have provided the winning car, the championship winning car, the past 2 years in Formula Enterprises 2. Back in 2018, Flynn Lazier won the championship at Sonoma Raceway, and this past year, Rhett Markow won at Virginia International Raceway. So they definitely know how to prep a car, but you can go to them for pretty much all of your service needs. They do frame-up rebuilds, chassis alignments, tire services. They'll do custom seat building. Again, they're really geared more towards the Formula cars than the tin tops. They also have a number of arrive and drive packages and provide car prep, car transport, trackside support if you're providing your own car. Also, data acquisition, maintenance, and storage services as well. So definitely, if you are looking at driving a Formula car and even a Formula Enterprises 2 car in any SCCA road racing events, definitely look up Competition 1 Racing. You can find them at competition1racing.com. All right, so let's take a look. Yeah.
Battles here. Things have kind of spread out a little bit. So Rakison's kind of settled in. He's a couple of 2.5 seconds up on King, another 2.5 seconds to DeShong, a bunch of seconds there to 4th place Jackson McLeod, and now he's kind of opened up a gap to Hems. The next battle we see really is right now between Jake King and John Vogel, as those guys are about nose to tail.
Wow, take a look. Yeah, we just saw that going down into turn 1 there. We had Mick Blue with Eric Brown, and I believe it was DeShong trying to get through them, and he got caught out just a little bit there. But yeah, let's take a look. We've got a replay of it here as they came down the Samposi straight into turn 1. We've got DeShong right behind Blue, and I believe that was Eric Brown in the 56 car, and just managed to get underneath them going through turn 1. Yeah. And you can see here, it's so hard to judge sometimes, and especially when you have cars going too wide into a corner to try and then sneak your way through is really a huge challenge here.
A lot of trust.
All right, here we go. We've got the battle with Jake King, who is currently sitting in 7th with John Vogel in the 25 car, and Vogel gets right into the back of Jake King coming through turn 2. Let's take a look. Car that went around. That was Chris Hammond that went around. Let's take a look at it again as they came down into turn 1. And Hammond there in the number 10 car, unassisted, spins right across the nose of Jake King. And yeah, I guess you gotta say that.
And now King looks like he's spun again, coming up through the.
That's through the uphill.
Yeah.
Went around. Let's take a look.
He was trying to go on the outside this time again on Vogel. Vogel gets by, but this time Jake gets in there.
Yeah, and you can see that they got
Hinkle.
the wheels together. Yeah, and Hinkle, I guess was just some collateral damage. He was there sitting at the tail end, and
Hinkle was a part of that battle.
Yeah.
Anymore, unfortunately. But Jake looks like he has escaped. Actually, I've got him up on my own screen. Looks like Jake has actually escaped that without a significant amount of damage, and he's still running. He's got some front wing damage, but he's still running.
Yeah, and that's 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks in a row, we've seen wheels supposedly fly off of cars.
Yeah.
It looked like as Jake had gotten into that other car going through the uphill, that perhaps that would have been the end of his day. But he continues on. Let's take a look now at our leader, Evan Rackison, in the number 4 car, and he's seen that lead that he had over Max King start to drop down again. King has definitely had the pace here. King now only 2.3 seconds back from our leader, so he's having to close things up once again. That last time by, he was about a tenth faster than our leader Rackison. The lap before, he was about 4/10 faster. And Chris DeShong continuing to have some trouble with lap traffic here, coming up behind Jay Bonvalor in the number 51 car. Let's take a look here as they come through the downhill. Yeah, and and
DeShong, a little draft at that point.
Yeah, DeShong, was looking to just make a traditional pass on Bonvalor, and Bonvalor, I guess, trying to be the gentleman, wanted to move right and let DeShong by, and unfortunately, DeShong was there already, and now that we've discussed it, he's already turned a complete lap, and he's back around again.
43 seconds goes by pretty fast.
Yes, it does. All right, looks like the number 10 car still having some issues there as he's limping around. Chris Hammond, we saw him a couple laps ago, and now DeShong trying to make his way around the 22 car. Yeah, that's Jan 2, currently running 12th, and DeShong just now gets it done as he comes out of the right-hander and through the no-name straight.
So just to give you a little update on where we're at with a couple laps to go here, with Rackison in the lead and Max King second, Chris DeShong third. These guys in the overall points, Rackison was 4th, King was 6th, and DeShong was 3rd. Your overall leader was Pilata, who's currently right now in 11th place. And Caleb Patry, who came into this race in 2nd, has crept all the way back to 6th after that first lap incident. So, oh no.
Oh.
Was that Max?
I think that was Jake King. Again? That was Jake King, who got together right ahead of our leader, right ahead of Evan Rackison. And Rackison managed to get by. Let's take a look here. We'll see him as they came out of 4.
And there's that. Wow.
Yeah, I can't explain that one.
All right. Well, the internet does weird things sometimes.
Yeah, we'll just say that Jake hit a groundhog.
I think all the other incidents that the internet finally just said, you know what, Jake, this one's going to count.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But with 37 seconds to go, we're looking at possibly last lap.
Well, I think we're going to be able to get one more lap in.
And Max has pulled within 1 second. Not that he can do anything with it, but he's going to be 1 second by, I think, when they come by the stripe to take the white flag. I
mean, even with 1 lap to go, if you were able to get up to Rackison, this track is so, I don't want to say it's easy to defend, but I think we've seen here all of the things that makes it difficult for you to make a pass. Then you get a driver who makes his car just a little bit wider, and it's going to be very difficult for King to get around. But, we've seen a lot of attrition this race, and there's still a little bit of time as our drivers now make their way.
And remember, this was about a 2.6, 2.7 second gap about 3 minutes ago. So, pressure could be a little bit on Evan. He might have backed off, kind of pacing himself. No need to really push crazy late in the race. Max maybe has been pushing, but at this point, it looks like it's Evan just sort of coasting his way through, looking at that checker and saying this one's all his. Finally got himself a win here in the books in round 3.
There you go.
Good win for him.
All right, this is for the battle for 5th right now. Coming down, we've got Caleb Patry and Nick Hems. Hems right behind him, coming out of the downhill for the very last time.
That's a good finish for Patrick, considering even with this to come back from the 3rd place start, the bump on the opening lap with Pilata, if I recall, to get bumped back to somewhere in the 20th range to climb all the way back up and finish the top 5. That's a really great, strong finish there for Caleb.
Yeah, that was a very strong finish, and he seemed to have a little bit better luck than Andrew Pilata did after that first lap incident.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run down the order here real quick. Again, your winner today was Evan Rackison, and Rackison with his first time at the top of the podium. Again, he finished 3rd on our first weekend here of the season of VIR. Max King works his way back. He finishes in 2nd in the number 27 car. It started, I believe he started 4th, if I remember correctly, and had to make up a lot of ground multiple times this race. Chris DeShong makes his way through traffic in the number 41 car. He will finish in 3rd. Then we've got Jackson McLeod finishing 4th. Caleb Patry, as we mentioned, worked his way back to 5th. Then Nick Hems, John Vogel, Kiram Hussein, Jeff Miner, and Andrew Pilata makes it up into the points, and he finishes in 10th.
Yeah, another one just to salvage that point that there's Pilata. So it'll be interesting to see as the points shuffle around and then get posted this week. Those top 5 or so, top 4 are definitely all going to be points finishers. Max King had a pretty strong finish here. So it'll be interesting to see how they all shuffle out. It's going to be getting very tight here as the season goes on, as we hit the midpoint of the season. Okay.
All right. Let's see if we can get any of our podium finishers in for an interview, Mr. Director. Kyle Heyer. All right, we've got Evan Rackison, Larry.
All right, so Evan, we've got our race winner, Evan. You managed to put it on pole this week at what I would say is probably the most critical track to be on pole. You took full advantage of it and opened up your gap early on. Was that the strategy to build a gap and make sure you could coast to the end?
Hey guys, nice to finally be here. Yeah, definitely. That was plan A for sure. Lime Rock is just a little bull ring of a track, so it's really, really difficult to overtake. So got to start out front and stay out front. So that was the plan.
Is there any downforce left in the settings to add to the car, or did you just throw it all in and the kitchen sink and everything?
Oh, come on. We got some competitors listening. I can't give that away.
I only know because I ran the Tuesday night race and I kept cranking in more downforce, and the more I put in, the more the car liked it. But, the setup, I think, you at least agree the setup seems to be very important with this car and a track like this. Maybe it's a little more unique of a setup than a place like Road Atlanta, like we were last week. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, as soon as the Road Atlanta race finished last week, I jumped right in at Lime Rock and started getting comfortable in the car and worked on a nice, safe race setup that I knew would be good for the full 20 minutes without the tires falling off, and then a quick quali setup. So yeah, it worked out. Really happy.
Oh, awesome. So a great win from pole to the checker, really almost uneventful before you even had a chance to kind of work your way through traffic cleanly. That's as a clean a race as we've really seen. So congratulations on that. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure. Talk to you later.
Thanks. All right.
And,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Larry.
All right, Max. Congratulations on the second place. In fact, you kind of climbed back up there. We thought maybe you'd be able to be right there on the tail of Evan at the end of the race, the way you were gaining on him.
Oh man, give me 5 more minutes, it would have been right there. I was kind of gapped a little bit at the start because the two guys we both went off in front of me there on the 3rd corner. So then Evan kind of had a gap, and my setup was set up for late in the race when the tires were getting greasy, and it was really grooving in the middle of the race there. And then some lap traffic changed lanes on me at the top of the hill, and I had to go. I almost wrecked it completely. Went 4 off into the grass, and that was real close. And that gap down to like 3 seconds. So I had to try and make all that up, and he got caught up in some traffic too, but not as bad as me. And I was trying to reel him in, but yeah, man, 5 more minutes would have been there. But it's a good race.
Yeah, we definitely saw the traffic play out. In fact, we had the camera on you at that point when you had that traffic doing that to you coming up to the hill. So definitely, great, good job managing that traffic. This place is unique in that regard. Good top two finish again. Looks like you're definitely got some good strong points finishing, adding up so far. You gonna start practicing tomorrow for next week?
Let's see. I got a setup already set from one of my previous races, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably jump on my brother, and maybe Tuesday night we'll see what happens.
Well, make sure you talk to him about his race. He had a pretty interesting one.
I heard on Discord he was chatting it up.
Oh, I'll bet he was. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Matt.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. All right, have a good one. All right, and Larry, while you were doing the interview, we were doing a little bit of the maths behind the scenes here, and it looks like after today's race, Evan Rackison is our new points leader on the eSports Super Tour. Chris DeShong, with his finish, now moves up to second in the points, and both Pilata and Max King, who we just talked to here, are tied for third. So some big changes just with one night of racing here on the Super Tour.
Thank you, Andy, for putting that together so quick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna, before we take a break in a couple moments here, I wanted to work in some mentions for some of the great partners of the SCCA, and we're going to start off with Sunoco, who's also going to be up at the June Sprint. Sunoco is the official fuel of the SCCA, and for 125 years, they've been fueling victories both on and off the track, and that's why Sunoco is trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, NHRA, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit www.racegas.com or call Sunoco at 1-800-RACE-GAS. And then, of course, the great partner that we have, and that is Tire Rack, who was established over 40 years ago with a product line that fulfills the tire, wheel, suspension, and brake needs of enthusiasts and their friends for both the track and the road. As the official tire retailer of the SCCA and title sponsor of the SCCA National Solo Program, Time Trials National Tour, and Time Trials Nationals, TireRack.com, America's leading high-performance tire and wheel source, is able to showcase a broad range of new products in suspension, brakes, and accessories while supporting the grassroots motorsports enthusiasts. For more information, of course, go to TireRack.com. And with that, Larry, let's take a couple-minute break here. We'll let everybody go and get some water and take a little bio break if necessary. And we're going to be back in just a few minutes with our second race of the evening. That is the Global MX5 Cup race. You are listening to the 2020 Hoosier Racing Tire eSports Super Tour. We'll be right back.
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
Time Trials is a two-day event typically for our national events. It's 2 20-minute sessions each day with a track sprint added in, which is, it starts with a standing start, flying finish, so it's a lot like a hill climb. You've got autocrossers out here, you've got road racers out here. It doesn't really matter what your background is, you're gonna find a home here that's pretty rad.
It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of speed, it's safe, and it's a great group of people, and it's very well organized. The organizers really have it running like a top now. Everything from getting transponders on the cars, getting them gridded, getting them out on track safely, and making sure that everybody has a good time.
You have to learn the track, you have to know the track, you have to know how your car's gonna behave on track, because really what a time trial is a qualifying lap. I always say if you get 2 solid laps in, that's perfect, because once you do 2 laps on street tires, you're gonna burn them down. We don't grid by class, we actually grid by experience level. So you'll be with like individuals with like skill levels and like experience, and that's part of what makes this program awesome and an easy entry to get into this kind of thing.
The the way the competition is structured, the way the coaching hierarchy is structured to where every group gets a coach and everybody's working on what they're doing every session, it makes it really easy to get new people into it, and that's what this is all about. I particularly like time trials because the barrier to entry is so much lower than like road racing. The level of build quality, especially at time trial nationals like the sport class, is so incredible to where you can show up with a stock car and be competitive because that's what the class is built around. The SCCA, they have a plan, they work the plan, and they pull off some big events, and it's really impressive to see.
Once you get involved with the SCCA time trials and you get a license and you move up the rank, you get up to advanced, then you can move on. If you wanted to dig deeper and get really into time trials, there's other programs out there that they want to see that license to know where you're at and that you're good enough to run. So it's a great place to start, but it's also a great place to blossom and then move on and move up the ranks. Just like road racing, you start as an amateur and you move up to professional. If you've never done it before, just come out and experience it, because the way we set up our time trials, it's perfect for the beginner. We've had people who have never done a track day come out and run with us and have a blast. And I mean, come on, driving 10/10 on a road course, how can you beat that?
All right, and we are back with the 2020 Hoosier Racing Tire eSports Super Tour. I'm Greg Ginsberg with Larry McLeod, and as we get ready for our second race of the evening from Lime Rock Park, our Global MX5 Cup race, I want to tell you about another one of the great partners of the SCCA, and that is Hawk Performance, the official brake products of SCCA. For over 25 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded Hawk Performance motorsport brake pads. Now you can have their advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or SUV with Hawk Performance street friction products. With the improved HP Plus pad for that hybrid street and track feel, or Super Duty pads for tow vehicles, or the new Talon street rotors, Hawk has all of your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com and like them on Facebook to learn more about the Hawk Performance Advantage. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you? All right, Larry, so we had a pretty exciting Formula 3 race just a few moments ago, and Evan Raxon put on a pretty darn good show, and I think Max King tried to make it an even better show, just ran out of time there, as he mentioned during the interview. But now, as you can see, the skies have gotten a little dark above Lime Rock Park, above the Connecticut countryside there, and we're getting ready for the Global MX5 Cup race. And you know, we were a little concerned originally during the F3 race that we'd have traffic issues, and we had about 25 cars or thereabouts. We've now got about 40, right around 40 cars, it looks like. out for qualifying here in Global MX5, and so with about 6.5 minutes left in the qualifying session here, these drivers are going to have to, as we said before, really worry about putting their heads down and turning fast laps.
They really are. And again, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, qualifying is so crucial at this place. We talked to both Evan and to Max. Qualifying for them up in that top 4 was critical. And honestly, with Max, he even said, that first corner incident of the 2 drivers that started in front of him kind of put him back the rest of his race. It was so difficult to even catch, let alone make a pass on Evan. And Evan, by starting in the front row, was able to win the race that way. All these drivers are facing that same sort of scenario. Passing is at a premium, and so it's going to be so important to lay this down. These guys have been practicing, they've been setting up. They need to make sure that they are prepared to put this down, and to get it done in 4 laps. It's never easy. It's one thing to go out and practice, it's another to go out and actually have to do it and execute in 4 laps. In this car, the Miata, it's gotten a little easier to drive. We talked about that last week with the, I hate to call it a tire model change. It was more of a tire reaction change, the little way the tire behaves.
Don't tell Murphy Nichols about that, because we just saw him taking the car around through turns 1, 2, and 3 pretty much sideways. It looks like he's got it under control now, but but it's supposedly gotten a little easier to drive. Well,
so they're a little bit easier to drive, and he's using every ounce of whatever he can with the little bit of extensions of the track. But that's, you still have to be able to execute and get this done in these 4 laps. And at the end of the day, we've got about 5 minutes left in this qualifying session. This is, like we talked about in the Formula 3, this is a points series, and everyone's chasing down that points championship. We look at our point standings so far after 2 weeks, and your leader is DJ Alessandrini, who had the week 1 win and got the second place last week.
Second place last week, right?
Yep. And so he's sitting on top, 42 points. Michael Carter, he's sitting in the 2nd spot right now.
And Michael came in 3rd both the 1st and 2nd week. I don't believe he's here today, and I would not be surprised if he is up Wisconsin way, up at Road America for the June Sprints this week.
Yep. Another name. So then currently our week 1 winner, John Allen, currently sitting at 3rd. And these guys are all relatively close in points. It's 42 points for DJ. Michael Carter's on 36. John Allen, 32. Ryan Maloney is sitting in 4th. He's got 31 points. Elias Roman sitting in 5th at 28 points. Jack Tranter didn't get any points the first week because he had a lap incident, and wins last week. He's at 25 points. So there's your top 6. 25 points to 42 points at your first overall. Points are still very, very tight, so this race is going to be a critical one to try and build a good points finish if you want to be able to have a shot at the overall win for this season.
There you go. And we're on board right now with, what are we calling him, Larry? Mid-Pack Mallard?
The Mid-Pack Mallard, our week 2 broadcast assistant there, JG Pastor-Jack, who helped us out last week, and I think we're going to hear a little bit more of him in the coming weeks. And he was happy to get back into the car, and what a great paint scheme, by the way, there with that jet black, the flat black there with the GRM logo down the side. It looks really good.
Yeah, and of course, JG has been now with Grassroots Motorsports magazine for what I believe 30. Was it 30 years that he just crossed that threshold a couple of weeks ago? So
as long as Mazda's been making Miatas.
There you go. And so sitting up at the top of the leaderboard right now, we've got Aaron Gensone, and Gensone had a great run towards the end of the first season of the eSports Super Tour. I believe he finished in 3rd at Watkins Glen. Actually, that was the same week that we had that wonderful the Valvoline Pro-Am 50, and we're right now on board with John Allen. John now just moves to the top of the leaderboard. He bests Aaron Gensone's time, and John was our winner during week 1 of this series at Virginia International Raceway, and so he sets down a lap time of a 58.867. That is all of 85 thousandths of a second faster than Aaron Gensone. So definitely still very, very quick. And you can see these lap times, they're a ton slower than we saw in the F3 cars. They're actually about 15 seconds a lap slower. But, to go and put down a lap here in under a minute is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, they're slower and they can use more curbs. So they're actually taking the track shorter than the Formula 3s were using in some
Yes,
cases.
exactly. Well, and you know, and to have the softer suspension here and be able to use the curbing really makes navigating some of these turns quite a bit easier. It gives you much more width to the track and gives you a lot more margin for error. So, you know, one of the corners that we were talking about that is that the curbing, at least for the F3 cars, is really very deadly, was up at turn 6 up at West Bend, which is, you know, the fastest corner right here. And there we go. We've got Kyle going and marking that off for you. You know, with the Miatas, you can really pretty much roll right over the curbing there, and it really opens things up. It gives you a couple extra feet on the exit. So we'll take a look here.
I think it does, actually. It also opens up potentials for side-by-side. So which the F3s really couldn't go side-by-side. We saw a lot of drivers trying. But I think in realistic racing side-by-side for position, in the Formula 3s, you could get away with it through turns 1, 2, and a little bit through 3, but by then you really had to shake it out. You needed to be single file. I think in here in the MX-5s, we're going to see a lot more side-by-side even through turn 6 and probably not 7. We're probably going to see a little bit even through maybe 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I would suspect that you're not going to see side-by-side coming downhill going through turn 7 simply because it's going to limit your terminal speed going down the straightaway here. But certainly coming out of turn 4, trying to get passes done before the uphill. You know, again, the challenge there is that the track really starts to narrow down as you come into turn 5, the uphill, which we're looking back at right here.
Depends on how bad you want that spot you're fighting for, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, and as we saw the last race, it's also the question of whether or not the driver, you know, if a driver is a back marker and wants to let you by, or if you're battling it out for position. Because if you're battling it out for position, it's going to be a tough go. All right, so qualifying is done. We'll take a look at the weather one more time because we know there's a little bit more variability to the weather here. Right now, as you can see, the track temp is now down to 91 for that F3 race. It was actually up, I believe, up to about 115 degrees. So a little bit of a change here. Humidity, though, fairly high. And you know, we'll have to see if it changes during the race because, again, we got word during the F3 race that there were some pretty wild swings in the weather during the race, but we know right now kind of some cloud cover, which is helping things out just a bit here for everybody. Larry, why don't we run down the grid?
Yep. All right, so on the pole, who had won our week 1 round, he is on the pole. In the driver's seat here is John Allen here at Lime Rock Park. On the outside of row 1 is going to be Aaron Johnson. Making up row 2 on the inside is going to be Ryan Maloney, and on his outside is going to be our week. He was he's been second actually both weeks. Is TJ Alessandrini. He's from the outside of row 2. On row 3, Luke Pfeiffer, and he's going to be paired up on the outside of him is going to be David Marcus. Making up row 4, Ismael Basso and Justin Hall. On row 5, Paul Robinson and Elias Roman. On row 6, Thomas Pendergrass and Murphy Nichols. And row 7, Trevor Renson, Nathan Stratton. That should be row 7. And on row 8, Will Robbins and Charles Vaccaro. Row 9, Reed Shannabrook and William Squalance. Probably messed that up, didn't I?
That's all right. All right.
I apologize if I did, Will. And on row 10, Tyler Campbell and Khalil Nardaboff.
All right, Larry. So as the pace lap gets underway, let's talk about another one of the great partners of the SCCA, and that is Koni Shock Absorbers. Both Koni and the SCCA have had a very strong history from the 1950s all the way up to the present day. Koni adjustable shocks and struts have for decades been a cornerstone and often the starting point for performance suspension refinement and tuning. From being the maker of the industry's first adjustable shock absorber to today's patented FSD street shocks, Koni has long demonstrated that product improvement means product innovation. For more information regarding Koni products and activities, go to www.koni-na.com, or you can visit them on social media at Facebook, that's Koni Shock Absorbers, and Instagram at Koni Shocks. So Larry, the pace lap is underway, and as we talked about Coney and we talked about Hawk Performance a little while ago, there's a great package for the winner of this series as well. If you win Season 2 of the Super Tour in MX-5, you are going to get a set of Coney shocks, also a set of Hawk pads and rotors, and also a free entry to the 2020 Tire Rack Time Trials Nationals powered by Haggerty. And that's going to be at NCM Motorsports Park a little bit later this year in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So great prize on order if you win the series this season.
All right, well, the winner of this series is going to have to do well in a race like this because there's traffic. There's going to be a lot of action. It's going to be tight and really going to show their chops. And right now, John Allen's in the driver's seat, taking the lead down the front straight.
All right, and as they head down, you can see you've got John Allen, then you've got Jensone and Ryan Maloney side by side with DJ Alessandrini slotting in the fourth, right behind our second and third place runners, Jensone and Maloney. And a lot of side by side driving. Oh, we've got a driver that's gone around. That is the number 51 car, and it looks like the 51 has that's William Squellis. He's also picked up Khalil Naderboff in the number 19 car. We've lost a lot, not lost them, but had a lot of cars go off there at turn 2 on this very first lap as our leader, John Allen, in the 101 car, leads the field through the uphill, turn number 5 on lap number 1.
Yeah, that little action right there in the middle of the pack makes it really tough. Those guys that going through that first turn, everyone wants to try and pick up spots. They end up making themselves 3 wide. It just isn't much room for it. But out in the front, these guys are disciplined. They all got themselves single file. They know this is going to be a long race, 20 minutes, right around that, 21 laps or so, and you got to settle in.
Yeah, and you'll notice now that DJ Alessandrini, he has moved up to third. He's gotten around Aaron Jensone. Great little battle going on a little bit further back in the pack here. That is the number 99 of Elias Roman, going up with, looks like Paul Robinson in the number 3 car, and they're still side by side going through turns 3, the left-hander and the right-hander.
I think this is the kind of thing you can see in these cars. We didn't see much of in the Formula 3s, which is a sustained side-by-side through this section, because these cars, as you just saw, they can use more of the curbs. They can sustain the side-by-side. Even through the uphill here, they're going to be able to do this safely. Now, when they get up to 6, they might straighten it out. As you're going to see, they're probably going to start going more single file, but not impossible to go side-by-side as they're going to continue. But the downhill, they're going to probably go single file. I say that, and they're going to prove me wrong. All right, so they're mostly single file.
All right, we're looking at Murphy Nichols, who seems to be having a lot better race than he had qualifying as he makes his way through. He is sitting there with Will Robbins, the number 35 Grid Life car, and we'll see as they go side by side down into turn 1. And all right, let's take a look here, and we've got a new second-place runner, Larry. DJ Alessandrini gets around Ryan Maloney in the 15 car, so move Maloney now back to third. We've still got Jensone sitting in 4th, Luke Pfeiffer sitting in 5th at the tail end of that train, and still pretty close, definitely within striking distance of John Allen, our leader.
Yeah, and I think that top 5 now is officially a breakaway pack. So we'll kind of see, as we've talked about in earlier races, that top 5 are going to feel each other out. They're going to collect data. They're going to kind of see, is passing possible? And I think we've talked about with this race, this is not the kind of race you wait for a pass. This is the race you take the pass whenever you can, which is why DJ is taking now 2 passes as soon as he could. As soon as he sees even a moment of weakness in Allen, he's going to take it if he can find one.
All right, look, now we've got going, looks like possibly 3 wide here going into turn 1. That's Paul Robinson, Tom Pendergrass, and I believe that was the number 94 car right ahead of them. Trevor Rensone, as they make their way through and somehow manage to make it all work.
Yeah, that's good, respectful driving. I mean, they all got to trust each other, but not afraid to go side by side 3 wide and eventually get down to 2 as they did through turn 1. And eventually here they are single file down the no name straight, making their way through the uphill. Good racing. That's how it's done.
Yeah, so far good racing, and we don't see nearly as many cars here in Global MX5 Cup having trouble negotiating the uphill there. It looks like they're all still pretty balanced, but much like with the Formula cars, the front ends of those cars do get very light going through there. Let's take a look here. We've got this is right behind our lead pack. We've got Ismael Basso, and right behind him, David Marcus in the number 1 car. Now, Basso, a couple laps ago, we saw that he was actually having some problems through the uphill. And we'll look here. I think we're getting to that point where Marcus, I think, definitely wants to get by. Thinks he can get back up to the lead pack.
He's going to try. At least he wants to see if maybe he's a little quicker out in front of this Basso instead of behind. As right now, he's just watching that pack get away, and that's, if you're that guy thinking you could run with that pack, the last thing you want to see is look at your relative screen and seeing that 2 seconds and 3 seconds now to that lead pack just pulling away from you and not be able to do anything about it because you're stuck. And this is the nature of Lime Rock. This is what happens is you might think you're 3/10 faster than the car in front of you, but where are you 3/10? And if you're not 3/10 by itself on this front straight faster than the car in front of you, you won't make a pass. You can watch it right here. He won't make that pass. But who will make a pass? Here you go. This is Pfeiffer and John Sohn.
Yeah, and so Pfeiffer's got position going through turn 2, but that's going to switch very quickly here as they set up for the only left-hand turn here at Lime Rock. But looks like Pfeiffer cannot clear himself of Jenson, and they make their way through.
Yeah, if you were to take a freeze frame, the moment they hit the brakes going into 1, you'd say, guarantee he's going to make this pass. And then coming out of 4, nope, he doesn't make the pass. And that's the nature of Lime Rock. It's so hard to get by through those corners. You've just got to be inch perfect after the moment of touching the brakes through 1, 2, 3, and then going into 4 to be able to make that stick.
Now, you notice this time coming down through the downhill area that our leader, John Allen, did not put the rear end of the car over the curbing at the apex there as he had the last couple of laps, and had noticed that the previous couple of laps he had done that, and the car would step out on him. He'd lose a little bit of exit speed going down the straightaway, and it really allowed, as you can see, DJ Alessandrini to close right up onto the back there. Alessandrini's really started to separate himself out from Ryan Maloney, and it looks like it may become a 2-car battle here. As you said, he's probably just collecting data to see what John Allen's going to do here.
Yeah, and unlike the last race where it's definitely a last lap pass is all that matters, this is not that kind of race. This is a make the pass as early, as fast as you can, wherever you can, because it may never come. And DJ is just going to stay on his tail and hope to pressure. But as we've seen out of Allen, he doesn't pressure easily.
No, we saw that last week that he held his ground. But yeah, I mean it's much easier to defend here at Lime Rock than perhaps any of the other tracks that we're going to see this season. So if DJ sees the opportunity, he's going to have to take it. But you can that John Allen, he's probably watching those mirrors probably quite a bit more just to make sure that the car is positioned correctly almost everywhere on this track.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be interesting then also to see as the race goes on, as we're about 7 minutes in or so, as the race goes on, these tires do show a little bit of wear as they go. Will that tire wear change how the car behaves, and who's saving a little bit of tire for the end of the race? Will that matter in that one corner? Do you come off a 6 a little slower? Oh, there's Paul Robinson a little bit wide there through the left-hander.
Yeah, these 2 cars have been pretty much, I was going to say they were joined at the hip, pretty much joined at the hip. As, a little bit of hip. As they went around. Got Murphy Nichols there as well as they went around, and it looks like Nichols, just avoided it. That's actually kind of the line that Nichols was taking during practice, so he's pretty pretty close. Actually, I joke. Murphy, I think we mentioned last week.
Greg Ginsburg at 123 Main Street.
Well, he'd be able to get to me if he was old enough for a driver's license, because Murphy is 15 years old. So unless his parents are going to accompany him, I think I'm okay for now.
Some kid shows up in your doorstep riding the bicycle, you know who it is.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
So he looks like he's at least survived for the moment, and Paul Robinson's back on track as well. So back now chasing down Charles Bailey.
Charles Bailey there, but yeah, quite a number of positions lost as Robinson tries to make his way through, and you can see there how folded up the front of his Mazda is. All right, let's take a look here at the front of the field if we can, because I think we still have that real tight battle at the front, and our leaders are starting to come up on some of the back marker traffic. It's kind of surprising here, as quickly as these laps go by, that it only takes about half the race to start coming up on some of the slower traffic, but this may really change the dynamic quite a bit here.
Yeah. Now, we've talked to DJ in some post-race interviews over this season and a quarter that we've been doing these races. He's been very open and honest with us, sometimes fun to joke around. He's hinted a few times that he is definitely not hesitated at all to use lap traffic as a pick, to steal a term from basketball, to use a lap car to definitely help himself around somebody. If it's holding up a leader, to force a side-by-side somewhere along that line. So here in the next lap or so, as they start catching these lap cars, don't be surprised if DJ starts sticking his nose around John Allen when the lap car is in play. Because he knows he has to do something to make a change here. Otherwise, they're going to finish just exactly as they are.
Yeah, and here's something you can see right behind those two. It's starting to tighten up here. Aaron Jensone, the black number 20 car, as they came out of the downhill, really had a pretty good run on Ryan Maloney. Couldn't do anything with it, but you can see Jensone starting to move around a little bit, and I think he's trying to get into Ryan Maloney's head just a little bit there. Although, it looks as though Maloney might have a little bit better pace on the first half of this lap, whereas Jensone might be a little bit better towards the tail end. Now, remember, Jensone for a while had the fastest lap in qualifying, and then I believe he started second, I believe, today. So
DJ's not going to wait for traffic. He may pop out here.
Yep. Yeah, let's take a look.
He's going to stay in line. He had gotten a heck of a run on the downhill there, but Allen looks like he pushed wide and won, and DJ keeps looking at that inside, but.
Yeah. Allen, I think, tried to push that braking zone as far as he could, in the hopes that DJ wouldn't try to step out on him, and it could have cost him. It's those little mistakes here at Lime Rock that, although it's a little bit easier to defend, it's if you pressure somebody into making a mistake, those little mistakes can turn out to be not deadly, but they can be disastrous here.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting now because they are really catching up to the back of that first lap car. How does that lap car handle it? If it's on the straightaway, lap car is off and we'll just kind of get out of the way. But with 5 cars in this pack to get by, that lap car is pretty much got to pull off track to get out of the way.
Yeah. And that's actually, I guess, one of the advantages that you have in iRacing is, you sit there and you can see that there are a number of cars very closely packed behind you because you've got a little heads-up display that will tell you that, as opposed to in real life where you may see that you've got the leader and maybe one other car behind you, but you may not notice that there are another 3 cars back there because they're all in a line in a draft, and you may let 1 or 2 cars by and then try to move out to get into their draft, and you end up taking out the 4th place car. And
you may not realize in real life that the 3rd one is for position with you and the 4th one's not.
Yep.
Whereas at least in iRacing, because your relative screen tells you which ones are on your lap and which ones are ahead of you by a lap. It's kind of a cool little thing about virtual racing and sim racing. It actually is able to tell you that. But here they come. They're right on him. In fact, now at this point, John Allen might even be able to feel a little bit of the draft.
Yep. You can see Allen moving to the inside, trying to set up that pass already. To pretty much let DJ know that he's not going to beat him to the inside. Yep.
Here comes the next. So this is now going to continue, and this time they're fighting each other. So this is where things start to change a little bit. It's not one car, it's multiple, and DJ is going to force this issue. This will be interesting, as the trailing car should have the advantage now of being able to just start popping out wherever, and here he goes.
Yeah, you can see there, and the problem is there you run out of ground there as you go through that little we'll call it it is the right-hander, that you don't have a lot of straightaways here in order to continue carrying that momentum. You're always having to let out of the throttle just a little bit, which pretty much takes away that run.
Yeah, and just as we clear a couple of lap cars, hey look, there's another one. That's the happens when it's a 1.5 mile track. It's not like these drivers are that far off the pace. It's just the track is only so big. DJ is going to continue to try and force some issue here. He's got to do something. This is not calculated of I'll wait to the last lap. He's trying everything. He's throwing the kitchen sink at it. It's just so hard at the level of driver that John Allen is. It's just so hard for someone like DJ to get by him. It's just
exactly. And whereas at another track like a Road Atlanta where we were last week, or at VIR where John Allen, he may see some of that lap traffic coming up on him, and he may have 10 or 15 seconds to prepare for it and think of a battle plan and the best way to hold off DJ there sitting behind him. They come up a lot more quickly on you here at Lime Rock, and you don't necessarily have all of that time to formulate exactly what you're going to do. It's going to come up on you just like that. And you can see now DJ coming down to the outside. He's going to force John Allen to the inside, which might push Allen wide on exit of 1 and give DJ a chance to come underneath. But no, looks like John Allen was able to cover.
Very smart for Allen. He just kind of kept his car wide enough, saw what DJ was doing, kind of stayed middle of the track to not leave the inside open as they came through the second half of that bend, the turn 2 portion, and made sure that he was able to keep his line and get the run down through the left-hander 3.
Yeah,
smart driving for Allen.
Yeah, look at this now as Ryan Maloney's pulled up right into the battle as well. He's separated himself just a little bit from Aaron Gensone in the number 20, so that battle not so tight any longer. You can see that Gensone is a full 2 car lengths back. I mean, it's the whole scheme of things, it's not much, but here at Lime Rock, it's a ton as they come down through. And, now Alessandrini might have to worry a little bit about what's going on behind him as well.
Totally. That's what now has happened here is DJ had the freedom before to poke his nose in behind Allen. He doesn't have that now because Maloney's going to be doing it to him here with about 5 laps to go. So this is a 3-way, and if anything, it helps Allen because it does take a little pressure off because DJ's got, every time he tries a move, Allen's going to be trying one back behind him. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. But again, now we've got multiple levels of lap traffic out in front. Here goes Allen, there goes DJ. Maloney's got to make sure he stays with them. 2 wide,
DJ trying to come underneath. Yep. Shows the nose going into the uphill. Oh, wow. John Allen moving all the way driver's right. Here's DJ's chance. He sneaks right underneath or side by side, coming down the hill, and we have, at least for the moment, we've got a new leader. It's DJ Alessandrini. Yeah, let's see what Maloney does. And look who's also joined the battle. Gensone's now back in the battle as well, trying to scoot all the way down the inside driver's right. That's going to be real tough for him to make it into turn 1. And
yeah, I thought maybe for a second there, John Schoen was going to get in the back of Allen. Luckily, there was no contact there. But we have the switch now with about 3 laps to go. Allen, unfortunately, again, the lap traffic came into play there. Allen had to go completely off pace through 6. Things could switch around here. So now Allen's going to be doing the same thing to DJ that just got done to him. He's going to be looking for that pick. He's going to be looking for that lap car to take his advantage. And the same thing to Maloney. He's going to be looking for some way to get around John Sohn.
And look at that as DJ Alessandrini goes so wide on the exit of the uphill, gathers it back up, and again through that incredibly fast west bend turn, he manages to hold on to it. So at least for one more lap, he's going to go down through the downhill. Let's take a look again on the replay.
There's just nowhere to go. That pavement runs out really, really fast. Right about the time the car hits the ground goes away and becomes grass.
All right, here's the battle for third again, going down into turns 1 and 2. And once again, this is really the second lap in a row that it's happened where Jensone has gone in deep into turn 1, and he's pushed wide on the exit of turn 2. And it bit him this time. Ryan Maloney in the 15 car, he moves back into third position as our leaders now with just looks like with about a minute and a half to go. So probably just about a lap and a half, or about a lap and a half to go here. Our leader will likely get the white flag, may be able to go one more lap before getting the white flag. So we've got maybe 1.5 laps, maybe 2.5 laps as they come down the hill here, but a lot of slower traffic sitting on that front straight that could make things interesting, Larry.
Yeah, we might get another. It's going to be cool. We might get one more out of this. This does not look like white flag, so we're going to get, looks like 2 more laps, I think.
No. We
might get 2 full.
All right, let's.
We might get 2 full. So you see the final lap there may not be correct. We'll let you know in a minute. But what we do know is these guys are nose to tail, and it doesn't matter. They're not waiting for anything. They're going to try and make a pass if they can. What I do know also is Allen isn't quite close enough. 3/10 isn't close enough at Lime Rock to make a move. You've got to be under 2/10, and you've got to be coming off of 6 with momentum to even have a shot down the front straight, whether it's last lap or not. But there's lap traffic. Here it comes. Oh, yeah. Lots of lap traffic.
Yeah,
Where does DJ go? Where does Allen go?
Yep, they're going to have to go wide there.
Oh, gosh. Switch. Both sides of the track.
And you can see they both get the curbing here at the apex of the downhill, turn 7 and onto the front straight. And you can see DJ now, one, trying to get the draft of the car ahead of him, but also getting a little defensive, wants to make sure that John Allen doesn't come down the inside, turns in a bit early there. All right, so now we've got the white flag out. We're on the very last lap as DJ Alessandrini and John Allen battle it out for the win here. And, we might as well throw Ryan Maloney here and Jensone in the mix as well, because with all the traffic that our leaders are coming up on, it could very well be a 4-car battle. Let's take a look.
At this point, David Marcus might still have a shot at this. The way things are going, he's currently in 6th, so...
All right, and they come up. Coming in, that is the number 38 car, it looks like. And as they come through the uphill, Alessandrini gets by. Then we've got Allen. Then we've got Maloney. They all managed to get by the traffic here. They all were coming up on Andre Jameson in the 38 car as they were going through the uphill. And now for the very last time, coming through turn 7 onto the front straight.
Right behind the mid-pack Mallard. And for the win, DJ Alessandrini
takes the win, finishing 2nd. John Allen. Ryan Maloney takes 3rd. Aaron Jensone 4th. Luke Pfeiffer finishes in 5th.
Wow, that was intense.
Yeah, that was
crazy intense.
Yeah, there were a lot of cars there as they came through the uphill that very last time. It was tight. They had that number 38 car, and I'll tell you, the 38 car, as they came through the uphill, came back over. Oh, pardon me. It wasn't the 38. It was the 36 of Todd Martin, not the 38 of Jameson. Getting word from Kyle here, and they came through, and the car just kind of moved over on John Allen, and Allen had to really adjust right when that car was the lightest, and managed to get by. Let's see if we can. I think we're a little ahead of it there. Here we go. Let's take a look. Now it looks like here it is.
Wow.
So watch this as we've got the 36 right ahead of them. They're coming now down through the no-name straight, going to get set up for the uphill, and Alessandrini shows the nose, gets underneath, and Allen just at the last moment there gets underneath as well. But here is where we were looking, and it looked like the 36 car might have come across right in front of. Well, I guess he was out to the side there. I thought he'd come across. Either Maloney or Jensone.
That was just crazy, though. Really wild race. Great driving. I mean, look at the way that top 4 went. Able to swap spots a couple of times. Allen had the lead for so many laps. The lap traffic definitely played a part, but that's a part of winning, is you got to be able to manage that. DJ pounced on the opportunity that he was given, managed to navigate through a couple of lap cars to hold on to that win. So now he's got to win here to go with his couple of second places. Wow, what a finish! And for Alan now, with he's got a win, a second, and I think he's got a fourth. I think fourth or fifth from last week. So these guys are showing some pretty strong finishes here early in the season as we're coming up to the midway point.
All right. Actually, I think we've just gotten word. Andy Wolf, sitting behind the scenes, has done some of the quick math, and she now says that DJ Alessandrini has the points lead with his win today. He's got 67 points, and that is a considerable margin over John Allen, who is currently second with 51, and Mr. Maloney, Ryan Maloney, sitting third with 49 points. So Alessandrini now with a couple of very, very strong finishes the last 2 weeks. He finished second last week. He finished first today, of course. Now moves into the lead for season 2 on the Super Tour.
Yeah, very, very strong finishes and great racing. Those three guys are having a heck of a battle. Not at all surprised to see that those three are currently the top three in the points. So maybe we can get a shot to talk to one or two of them, if we could. Perfect. All right, so we've got John Allen here with us. John, you led a good chunk of that race. Some lap traffic came in, and then you and DJ all had to battle it out. So walk me through a little bit of fighting through some of that traffic.
Yeah, with a track this short, I mean, you pretty much know it's going to play a part. Early on, it was one car at a time. It worked out pretty well. Then we got a 2-car battle with 3 or 4 laps to go, and that worked out okay, even though it did cause a position switch. Good opportunistic move there by DJ. And then we ran into quite a gaggle there at the end. I thought it might return me the favor, and timing on it just didn't quite work out. I had to give up the run I had, and if anything, I had to drive in the mirrors a little bit with Ryan going in the last couple turns. Figured that was done, just hold second, and then not sure who got a little slow on the apex in front of DJ in the final turn, and I thought, well, shoot, I'm back in it, but there wasn't enough straight to get it done.
Yeah, are you able to? You guys trying to use the either the Discord chat or the in-game chat with those lap cars at all, or are you guys just trying to watch mirrors and relative screens?
A little bit. I mean, with this many cars in a session on this shorter track, you want to keep the radio pretty clear so that if and when you can throw that out there. DJ at one point, I think, came over the mic once or twice and just let the single drivers ahead of us know we were coming, and most of them were already aware. You joke about doing that in a calm fashion if you're going to let somebody know that they're the next contestant on the Blue Flag Express, but you don't want them to panic. That's the biggest thing. Just be predictable.
Yeah.
No, it was a good race, like most that DJ and I have. A lot of trust, a lot of nip and tuck, and he had some plans, I think, for where he was going to make a move where there's not traffic, and we'll never know if that would have got the job done, but he found another way. So congrats.
Yeah, tough race tonight, but to be able to finish the top 2 at this little bull ring is no easy feat. So congratulations on the good finish, and good luck going into next week.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, consistency is still a key, so we'll take podiums every week.
Absolutely. All right, thanks. All right, so Ryan Maloney finished on the podium, third step here tonight. Ryan, walk me through a little bit. You were right in the mix of this whole battle. In fact, at one point you were, you had Aaron Johnson getting by you and getting back, and then looked like for a second you might have had a shot either at the win or up in second. What was your perspective of trying to get through some of this traffic tonight?
Yeah, they just had a little bit more than me coming out of the last turn. I just didn't have a good run coming onto the straightaway, and that's really where I was getting beat. But yeah, me and Aaron were running pretty good together. We had a couple back and forth, and I was trying to get up there, just didn't have enough.
Yeah, this is a extremely tough place to pass. But you looked like you had some pretty good pace, certainly through the 1-2 complex. Like that's where you got your spot back from Johnson, and that's. Yeah, you had some really good ability to keep up with DJ and with John through there. Thought for a second there that maybe you're gonna have a shot to poke your nose in there as they were catching that lap traffic. But this place kind of lives up to the billing of being the bull ring, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely tough to pass. I mean, if you block the inside down in turn 1, there's not much you can do. So just catching the lap cars around here is also another. It's just a lot of strategy that goes into it, catching them at the right place in time. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, congratulations on the podium finish tonight, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week at, I think we're at Sonoma next week. So looking forward to seeing you out there.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. All right, DJ, we're going to make this quick tonight, quicker than last week. Congratulations on getting the win tonight. Walk me through a little bit of your thoughts trying to get around John, and then when you did, trying to not get passed by.
I mean, I think John had the pace tonight. I think my setup was a little bit better toward the end of the race, which is what I was hoping for. But John still had better pace tonight, and the lap traffic they kind of helped me out a little bit. Not gonna lie, I'm not too much of a man to admit that.
Yeah, it looked like we were even talking about the broadcast. You go back and watch, but at this point, it looked like you just a track like this. You throw in the kitchen sink, you throw the whole thing at it, right? Just you need to make a pass somewhere, or you do whatever it takes. Is that sort of the mindset you get halfway through the race? You got to make a pass sooner or later.
Yeah, I was without the lap traffic, I was going to try to get John. I was just going to try to get some overlap before the second to last right-hander. So I was gonna poke him on the hill and then hope that I made something from that. Just because it's really hard to pass down the front straight, especially if somebody is really defensive there. And John saw me reeling it in. He saw my shark fin in the water, and he started covering that inside. So I was gonna have to get a little crafty, but the lap traffic helped out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was, but it was a great race. Good job to navigate the tough waters of all the lap traffic and to stay in it in the hunt. You currently have the overall points lead, so got to hang on to that for sure with a couple of rounds to go. And Sonoma is going to be also a very difficult place to pass. That's where we're going next. So maybe some of these skills will transfer over.
Yeah, Sonoma's a really fun track. Looking forward to it.
Definitely. So, all right, we will see you there next week. Good job on the win tonight.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too.
All right, and with that, we're about ready to close things down. As Larry mentioned, we're going to be at Sonoma Raceway, home of the 2018 National Championship runoffs next week. But before we go, wanted to mention now that the festivities and the on-track action in real life has started back up again. Wanted to talk about a couple of the different programs that the SCCA has, that some of them you can join in, bring your car out to the racetrack and take part in, and some of them you can listen to. First, we're going to talk about the 2020 Tire SCCA Time Trials and National Tour presented by Hagerty Insurance. And to find out more information about this program, you can go to timetrials.scca.com. And there are a couple of events that are coming up that you can still sign up for and bring your car out to. June 13th and 14th, we're going to be at the Ridge Motorsports Park. That is in Shelton, Washington. And then for the July 4th weekend, and this is really a great event. July 4th weekend, we're going to have the Time Trials National Tour up at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, back up and in Thompson, Connecticut. And the interesting thing here is that this is going to be the 75th anniversary, the July 4th weekend. It's the 75th anniversary of the very first SCCA Road Rally event, and that took place at the original Thompson Speedway up there in Thompson, Connecticut. So SCCA definitely returning to its roots. And if you want to take part of this, again, it's July 4th weekend. I've come and taken part in a lot of the Time Trials National Tour events, and it is a great time. So I definitely recommend you do that if you have the time. Again, timetrials.scca.com. And then you can't bring your car out for this one, but you can certainly listen in. We talked about it a little bit earlier. All weekend long, this weekend is the 65th consecutive running of the WeatherTech Chicago Region SCCA June Sprints up at Road America. You can
one of us is going to be there.
Yeah, one of us is going to be there. You can come say hi to Larry. Unfortunately, I'm not up there with the rest of the Super Tour Radio Performance Motorsports Network team of Bob Steele, Mike Wolf, and Brian Donati is going to be filling in for me this weekend. But if you want to, you can listen in to all of the action. If you go to scca.com/live, you'll be able to not only see and hear the action on track, you'll be able to see the live timing and scoring as well. All of the action starts tomorrow with qualifying, and it starts at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And all the times I'm going to be giving you are Eastern Time. That's going to be for the first day of qualifying. On Saturday, we have both qualifying and races. The action starts at 9 a.m. And then on Sunday, nothing but racing starting at 9:45 a.m. We've got 9 different race groups. Over 500 entries are signed up and ready to run at the June sprints. The return of SCCA road racing to Road America. And again, this is going to be a great tune-up for the National Championship runoffs held this October, also at Road America. Say hi to Larry if you see him. Tell him you wish I was there. Have a have a spotted cow for me, and it should be a great time. But Larry, have a great time this weekend up there. I know you're going to enjoy it. And want to thank everybody who's really helped us out on this broadcast. Of course, all the great people from SCCA, Andy Wolf, Kristen Poole, Steve Ray, pardon me, and of course Kyle Heyer here as well from SimTV. We're going to see you again next week at 9 p.m. Thursday night from Sonoma Raceway, and we'll see you then. Have a great evening, everybody.